MANSUNCAST 2, 6, myself, Billy Reeves, Paul Draper, PDub. Gentlemen, first question is an obvious one. I think you can set 6 in its time for a couple of reasons. You're at the back end of Britpop, and also, of course, you've got all the keys to all the sweet shops, EMI. 4 bums become massive pop stars, then have to make a second album.
Parlophone at that point was their big acts were like Queen, you know, and then like, well, obviously the Beatles, if you've heard of them, and then like Radiohead, and then the Beastie Boys were selling more than us, which was a Parlophone act. Pet Shop Boys were selling more. So even though we'd had a number 1 act, we probably weren't anywhere, probably maybe not even scraping the top 10 of their most important acts, you know. So it wasn't like an unlimited budget was thrown at us. It was more that we were just sort of forgotten about at the record label and dumped in a studio, and nobody really stopped us. So we arrived there and we were right, we're going to start our album today. I think Spike, who was mixing it, came through and he said, I've just overrun on mixing the whole album, Celebrity Skin. It's like, can you just go in Studio 1 for like a couple of weeks? Yeah, fine, you know, at like, you know, £3,000 a day. And, but, you know, who's going to argue with Courtney Love? You know, I'm not going to stop her getting her album mixed. So Courtney Love was in one room and we were in the other room. We weren't twiddling our thumbs, but we started experimenting, you know, with obviously one of the most famous recording rooms in the world, with Jimi Hendrix recorded all his stuff.
Studio 1 in where?
Olympic Studios in Barnes. The Rolling Stones recorded all their stuff. The Beatles recorded the first ever live satellite broadcast, All You Need Is Love in there. So
Zeppelin.
It's Zeppelin, all the Zeppelin records. You know, it's just one of the most famous rooms ever, and someone asks you, can you just wait in there on your own expense, of course, while Courtney Love finishes her album.
It's essentially your money, I guess, at the end of the day.
But being just a lad from Connors Quay and being like 25 or 26 at that point, I wasn't going to start any shit with Courtney Love, you know. Although she seemed quite nice around the place, you know, but I wasn't I wasn't going to, you know, well, put it this way, we weren't going to book out in case we never got back in.
But you didn't do the album in a fortnight.
No, we did very little in that fortnight, actually, I think. That's what kicked all the oddness off. You know, we were in London and it was like, whoa, here we go. We would come in one morning and Richard Ashcroft would walk past you from the verse, like, oh, Richard, you know, and then Jarvis Cocker, a morning lad, you know, and then Charlie Watts and the Rolling Stones would make you a cup of tea, and then you'd just sit next to Eric Clapton eating his beans on toast, and that was just an average day, wasn't it?
Pretty average, yeah.
You know, I mean,
what are your memories of Olympic like, Tom? Because essentially you were employed by EMI to be an engineer there. Was, you know, Mansun, when they came in, were they different or the same to other groups?
No, the same, really. A very different climate to today, because it wasn't like an open checkbook where you could do what you want. But if you wanted to try something, there were funds there to do it.
People didn't notice that we were going to make this massive.
So, for example, if there's a new piece of kit,
masterpiece,
a new piece of kit came out, we'd rent it in or buy one. Yeah. And we'd play with it, wouldn't we?
Yeah, how mad does that sound? Yeah. And within an hour, you were playing with it. Yeah. You know, that sort of clocked up a few.
Yeah, well, some of that gear appeared on the record, though, didn't it?
A lot of it, yeah. Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
And like what, Dub? Come on, give me feed my nerd.
Well, we had, start with Andy, we had 3 drum kits. One was like the big sort of classic rock sound. Another one was kind of a funky kit, as I remember. And then the third one, we tried to make it sound like a drum machine. It was in that.
Oh yeah, in the booth, yeah.
In the dead booth.
Yeah, because I had my real drum machine. Well, I had 2 studios because we were living in the house next door to Olympic.
Oh, right.
And I was living in the loft. So I was living in Barnes, effectively, in London for like 6 months. And I had my own like Lynn drum machine samples out of an Akai in there, which became Dr. Funkowski, which became Fallout. Yeah. This is all on the 4-disc box set that you can hear the evolution of it. Drum machines appeared, then a DJ became a 5-piece at one point. The fifth Mansun.
Ben came and played with you, didn't he?
The 5th Mansun appeared, and although I like to Dub doesn't like that because he likes to think of himself as the 5th Mansun.
Yeah, right.
Although there's a lot of people who don't want to be the 5th Mansun. I think there's quite a few people who didn't even want to be the 4th Mansun, you know what I mean? But yeah, we had the DJ with us at one point, so we were a 5-piece, which was interesting. And the remnants of that are in negative, so when you hear all the... that was, we were actually playing along with a DJ, you know. And then one day I came in and There was a whole room full of glasses with different levels of water in.
Oh yeah, the glass harp player.
The glass orchestra. And that's on the outtakes CD, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's Dominic Chad.
There is some
doing
video
one of his
footage of that knocking around.
There's video footage. It's on YouTube. I think it's going to come out in a Mansun documentary later on. But the actual take of Dominic Chad doing his piano song with that full orchestra is on there.
Crikey.
And it's like, you know that thing when you're a kid and you get some water and you wet your hand, you rub it and you go...
Yeah.
I mean, we had the world's most renowned water... like literally spider fingers going around 15 cups. No, it must have been 10, but maybe, I don't know. You know, maybe he's got tricks where he can like get his, you know, opposing digits working round more than 10 bottles at a time. But it was a feat to behold. But I just walked in and just walked straight out, and I thought I'm not being part of this, and just came back the next day.
That's absolutely. One of my next questions was going to be, could you make that record again now? And obviously we're talking plugins, but that sounds like one of the things that you literally couldn't be able to recreate using a laptop.
No, you couldn't do it recreate it with a laptop, and you probably couldn't recreate it with any recording company's budget because they just tell you to get lost. But I can't imagine that being done now.
Well, how prepared were you when you went in? It's day one.
Not very.
Was there any songs? Was there any plan?
Yeah, I had 2 songs. I had a song which was originally called More, which is, again, in the 4. I'm just flogging this. I'm brilliant, aren't I? Like a natural salesman.
This is what we're here for, Paul, to flog this.
Yeah, the 4 CD box set has like an outtake from my notebooks where I'd written it down as a track called More, and that became 6.
Yeah.
So I had the start of that, until the bit where it just goes, ooh, and then all collapses. And I had a B-side called King of Beauty, which I thought would be what the album was going to be. And we did King of Beauty first. And I thought, I don't want to go down this route. You know, do we want to be another average indie band or just do something effing mad? You know, so we did. So we just went down the mad road, really. And
but having said that, I'm glad you said that, because that's the feeling I got for it when I first heard it. But there's a lot of pop music.
Yeah. I mean, there's like bits where it's like, you know,
it's not obtuse.
No. It's not like lacking the melodies. They're in there. You just got to look a lot harder for them, and that's one of the things. I write that in. Oh, here we go again. In my foreword to the 4 CD books, you know, I write all about
4
that.
CD books.
I write all about that. So, like, you got a track like Shotgun, it starts off, and it's all very, like, punky, rocky, noty, quite scrapey, and then it just seeps into, and that was my great chorus. I've got a great chorus there. But I didn't repeat it 4 times and put a nice verse in it and just put it into a pop structure. I just sort of, don't know, I was willfully different. So, I think
that's a really nice.
I think there's a lot of emotions wrapped up for all of us from that time.
Yeah. It wasn't hurt, you know.
There was a lot of dynamics going on within the band at that point.
Yeah,
and that was in the studio very heavily, wasn't it?
Oh, everything happened so quickly.
Yeah. A difference we have now in the way of working is there is a little bit more time to digest stuff and dissect it.
And also, we don't let anyone into our sphere of work unless they're, you know,
productive.
Yeah, or a good egg, or a nice person, or whatever. Or, you know, we don't want people to challenge this. We just want to have fun, you know.
So that would be a
people like coming in with their own agendas and trying to, you know, use what we're doing to get something. We just want everyone to work together, and that's our golden rule, and that works.
That's what you've learnt from it, then. Perhaps.
Yeah.
And of course, with wisdom comes age, and with age comes wisdom, I guess, as well.
Yeah, but you know, with youth comes naivety, so you do something stupid like Attack of the Great Lightning 6, which have got to be 2 of the most stupid albums ever launched by a pop group in the history of music. You know, one goes to number 1, one goes to number 6, and then both go right back into the charts 20 years later.
20 years later,
yeah. I don't quite get it myself, you know, because Mansun was never a super huge band, but them records have outlasted the band and the fans and everything, you know. I mean, I just think, you know, I think it's odd when they do a Mansun convention, they get more people at the Mansun convention that most 90s bands touring get at their own fucking gigs, you know. It's like, it might have looked a bit odd at the time, but, you know, it's like, you look bands like the 1975, they all look like Mansun now, you know, they all sort of sound a bit like Mansun, they've all got their synths in there, you know. I'm not saying we were ahead of our time, but we were a band that was certainly out of time.
Yeah. Well, a classicist, I think, as well as being sort of barking, mad, young, happened quickly, major label, all of those things combined to make it a classic band, I think. A British band as well.
Maybe,
so very English about it,
and then, you know, like a classic implosion.
Yeah, well, as it should be. As I said, that's how it should be.
Yeah, you know, from the outside, you know, when you have to live it on the inside, it's not as it's not as romantic,
fun,
you know,
no.
not fun. One part of me wishes I hadn't have done it because we could have had a big pop record, and now I could be in Barbados and, you know, just chilling out. And the other part of me thinks, well, we did something a bit mad. People still like it now. It's going to go back in the charts again after 20 years, which is mad for an album of that nature, and we're here talking about it. So
the first incarnation, the first LP, the first EPs were about characters. They were a little bit surreal, but were the lyrics of Six a little bit more personal?
No, the lyrics weren't character-based for Six, but the lyrics of Six were partly my own, you know, just thoughts that I'd written down, like the Six thing, the more thing, and stuff like that. But a lot of it came from books as well. There was a lot of books floating around the studio. A lot of them weren't mine, some of them were. I mean, don't forget, we were decamped to live in London for like a year to make this record. And so you take a few books with you, don't you? You know, back before, you know, Netflix and all like that. And so, yeah, a lot of them books just seeped into the record. You know, I was reading Tom Baker's autobiography all the time, so we ended on it, you know. I was reading a prisoner book, so, you know, Fallout. I was reading a book about Scientology, so Cancer ended on there. And I was reading a book about how the Catholic Church harboured Nazis out of Europe. Yeah, I mean, you know, I always felt like I was there, and I knew what it was going to be in the end. You know, which is how we're probably still working now, isn't it, really?
Exactly the same, yeah.
It's sort of like we're still working the same, where we've got something and we're bringing it into focus. Yeah. We're bringing it into focus slowly.
There's always an element of exploration, isn't
there?
Yeah,
you don't know exactly. You can't ever achieve exactly what you hear in the head.
Yeah.
However, you get to somewhere that you're either hate it or bored of it, or
and then you sideline. If you get to somewhere where you think you like it, and then you've achieved something, you know. So we're working literally the same now. In fact, we've honed down the way we worked on Six, and we're working like that now.
Yeah, and cut out the sort of
timecode DATs flying around and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a honed down version
the glasses
of that.
and what have you.
Yeah, cut out a lot of the glass orchestra and some superfluous stuff.
I think it was a moment in time. Six. I think you couldn't recreate that today. I don't think. What do I think? It was quite a difficult birth for me, that record. We were working long hours, 6 days a week, and we did actually get to a point where we all had to stop from sheer exhaustion.
Except me, who carried on.
And you
through
carried
Christmas.
On through Christmas, yeah.
Yeah, I had that Daley Thompson thing, so I thought, like, if I'm in the studio, like, you know, moving a snare drum round on a timecode, that gives me the edge over. Well, I don't know, you know, the Divine Comedy or something, I don't know. But, you know, like Daley Thompson, who's out running on New Year's, like that. I had that philosophy, but unfortunately it didn't work.
I suppose when it was finished, after over a year on it, and having gone quite mad doing it, I kind of didn't listen to it for a long, long time.
Okay. So how much did it bring back memories of doing it when you heard it again, or did you think, how we were geniuses?
No, I was surprised at how good it was, if I'm honest. Because when you sort of have it under the microscope and you're buried in it every day for a year, at the end of it you escape and go out into the big wide world and go, oh, there's people out here and sunshine and stuff. I'd forgotten how good it was and how much effort really went into it.
That sounds it. What would you do differently, Paul?
Well, this is the thing, you see. So this is the thing, you see. So for many years I thought I'd change the cover and just make it a little bit more sort of modern-y or 90s modern and abstract and not as bizarre and you know, as it was. And then I thought, maybe cut the Doctor Who track out the middle and do a little edit out of Six. But then at the end of the day, it's gone so far. It is what it is. I can't touch it. You know, it's like, no, it's sacred to the fans who like the record.
Yeah. What about
there's nothing I can. You know, there isn't. I wouldn't change it.
What about the demos and stuff? Is there anything when you started going through some of the archive material? Did you think, that was fantastic, that should be on there, or did you sort of hold your head in your hands and go, what on earth are we doing that day?
No. Like
extras.
I listened to the alternative version of When the Wind Blows, why didn't we put that out as a single? And the alternative version wasn't even the version we even ever put out as the B-side, you know. And it's like, it's just got a vocal on and thought, oh, that's too normal. You know, that was it. That was what it is. It's too normal. It's just like a song. The Me Now wouldn't have done that, but I had to completely self-destruct that until it was like basically just some sparse thing with a delayed piano and push it as far as you can on a major label and see where you can go. And we found the edge, and we just sort of fell off it.
Yeah, no, it walks a tightrope for an hour.
Yeah, it walks a tightrope for an hour, but it's not a tightrope that you can stay on the right side of if you want to stay on a major label. You know what I mean? But it has been remembered for being such as far as you can push it on a major label. But
because of the way you did the record, and because there was so much work into it, that feeds perfectly into the way that the music industry is now. In that, box sets, sumptuous physical product is perfect for the current marketplace.
Well,
and therefore, are you proud of Six, the box set?
None of this stuff's any good unless the music's good. The music's got to be good, you know. If the music's got to be good, you can't sell it. No one will buy it. But so the 2 albums lasted. They were good. They lasted time, and they've grown with stature of the age. And what I've said to Kscope was that to do the reissue of Six, the same as they did Grey Lantern, because they did that beautifully with the vinyl, the 4 CD box set, and the limited edition coloured vinyls. You know, why mess with the formula? So, I mean, you know, then we're going to have two albums from 20 years ago that are going to go back in the UK top 40. You know,
my point is that the demos, the extras, aren't the usual rubbish that you get on this sort of thing.
But I think that's why the people who do love Mansun, because they know there's a huge depth. We weren't just saying, here's an album, go and do a pop tour. We've got like 60 odd or 70 odd tracks from 15 EPs. And now we're revealing the alternative versions of those tracks from EPs and subliminal messages we left in, unfinished tracks. There's a Dominic Chad track that was never released. You know, there's all sorts of mad stuff. You know, it's.
What about the rest of the group? You've talked about Dominic a little bit in the previous MANSUNCAST, and you've mentioned him a couple of times there. Did you have to speak to the other 3 guys about this? Was there? You know, did things have to be signed? Did relationships have to be thawed to get this together?
I don't get involved in anything like that. Right. All as my angle on it is, it's in the past, water under the bridge. You know, I don't really talk about them guys now, you know, unless that we're talking about something where the name has to come up, like we're talking about, you know, something to do with the music. And then it's generally, if you're talking about this, it's a positive element, because obviously you know, some of the musicianship on the album was sensational, really, for an indie band coming up, and to reaching that level of complexity was a bit of a tour de force for everyone involved in the record, really, even the production and the engineering and the you know, all the work like that. Just Dub giving me the thumbs up there.
It was basically everybody at the top of their game.